Alright, hey guys, this is Ian with Fairway Disc, and I'm back with another video for you today. Today I'll be talking about an in the bag. I don't think I've done one for this channel. I've done one for my other channel, but everything disc golf is moving to this channel, so I'm going to do an in the bag for the 2022 season. Just got done with my first tournament, did not do so hot, so I am focusing on disc golf a lot more this summer, or just this season in general. And I just wanted to document my journey this season, and I figured I'd take you guys along. And if I improve, then hopefully you'll get something out of it. If I don't improve, you'll also get something out of it, I hope. And maybe don't make the same mistakes as I do. But anyways, so I like my equipment, I like my gear a lot, so that's why you see three different things here. This is the toolbox, this is the bag, and this is a card. I figured I'd do this all in one video because I don't want to do separate videos and talk about what I'm carrying and not carrying during tournament rounds or casual rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what's in my bag. If the round requires 22 discs or less, and then the cart is for anything more than 22 discs, I will use the cart. This toolbox is for field work. So this is my main bag, everything I carry during a tournament round or even casual rounds. So let's start off with the putters. The putters, I putt with AVRs, namely, sorry, there's like dirt everywhere. I just got done playing, doing field work today, so it's kind of like dirty now. I used to putt with my Pro AVRs. I tried Lunas, I don't really care for them, and I try P2s. They're a little bit overstable for me. I adapted, I use them, but this just makes my job a little bit easier when putting, and I feel more confident with the Pro AVR. So I went back to the Pro AVRs, except this is the last one I have that is in that's new, and all the other ones are used, so I sold them all. So a subscriber of mine said, hey, why don't you use the Tour series, and I got a Tour series here, and this has been working out really well. It's very similar to the Pro, and so I think the last version was 2020. I don't recall them making a 2021, and I don't know if they're going to make a 2022 version of the Tour Series AVR. I hope they do, because I really like the Tour Series AVR. Because once this one goes bad, then I'm not going to have any more basically putting AVRs, because I don't like putting with a regular AVR, and the KC Pro AVR is too overstable for me to putt with. So I hope they continue making the Tour Series. The other two putters are for approach shots. This is actually a Midnight Z Challenger. I don't know why it doesn't have a stamp on it, but basically I love Challengers for all approach shots. And then the newer Challengers, or the overstable ones, I love them off the tee. Except this disc I found during my multiple tournaments, multiple rounds, and multiple field work. Heavy wind, this disc is understable, or at least this one does flip up and stable out a little bit if I give it a lot of hyzer, but I don't use it off the tee much. It's more for approach shots. Unless it's a 200-foot hole downhill, then I will use this off the tee. Otherwise, my off the tee putter has now changed to the Fierce. The Fierce is a higher speed than the Challenger, so it's easier for me to throw this off the tee now if I have a 200-foot hole that is straight or leveled ground and not downhill. Sometimes I will throw this up to 250, 260-foot downhill shot off the tee with the Z Fierce. It's actually a big Z Fierce Ledgestone version, so it's a little bit more stable than the Challenger, but it's just flies straight. It doesn't really hyzer out, and it's not overstable like some other putters, like a Zone, for example. So those are the putters up there. And then let's see, there's two more putters over here, and these are Zones over here. This is a very beat-in Z Zone. It's a Paul McBeth edition. The Zones that I've had in the past were ESP versions, so those are all beat in, so I don't use them anymore. So this one, I got it. It was overstable when I first bought it, but now it's pretty understable now, for a Zone at least. But to me, it's stable. If I throw it backhand, it'll fly straight for a little bit, and then it'll dive on a hyzer. But if I do it backhand for my upshots, then it will flex out, but it will flex out much slower than when it was brand new. I do sometimes throw this off the tee box. It is stable for my backhand. It's not overstable, but it's stable. And it's not overstable because it's worn in a lot already. This one, I believe, is a Jawbreaker zone. It was, let's see, I got this at a tournament I went to. And the reason why I put this in my bag is because I had a few wet rounds. Like, it was like pouring rain, and I also play in the snow during the winter. Apparently, these type of plastics are very slick during those cold temperatures and wet conditions. So I started using the Jawbreaker, and it gave me more grip, and it flies less stable than a Z plastic or an ESP plastic zone out of the box. This plastic makes the zone less stable, so it's actually easier to throw out of the box than the other plastics of the zone. So for a zone, it's actually understable in the Jawbreaker plastic. So I've been using it if I don't want a flare or a skip, because sometimes this one will flare more than this one if I give it too much torque. Whereas this one, if I just give it the same torque, it doesn't flare at all because of the plastic, and it's not overstable at all. So those are my sidearm putters pretty much. And then moving on to the mid-ranges, I carry, let's see here, 4 mid-ranges, 3 different buzzes with different wear and tear. There is the ESP one. I used to throw this ESP one. This one is now so beat in that it's understable. And this one is 166. So this one, I actually got it beat in like this because I wanted to beat in ESP, because it takes a while to beat it in. But now it's so beat in that it actually just, if I put it on a straight line, it kind of like goes to, I should face you like this. It kind of goes to the right a little bit, and sometimes it doesn't even come back. If there's even a slight 7 to 8 mile per hour wind, it won't even come back. So I use this for the woods more than anything else. This one, I don't know anywhere to put it. The next one is a little bit heavier ESP buzz. This is a Paul Macbeth one. Yeah, his stamp is on here. But anyways, this one's a little bit more stable than the blue one. So I do use this on a slight hyzer, not a huge hyzer shot. A slight hyzer, it does flip up a little bit, and then it stays straight for a little bit, and then it'll hyzer out more than this old ESP one. So that's why I have that in the bag. So it's more of a stable buzz, whereas this is more an understable buzz. The Z plastic here on this one, I don't know what the weight of this one is. Oh, sorry, this one's a 177. This one is stable as well, but it does skip better, or like a flare, it flares better than this one. And then this one, when I also use this one for sidearm, whereas the other two I really don't, because I prefer the Z plastic from Discraft for sidearm. So I use this for sidearm. If I throw it on a hyzer, it will stand up straight and will stay straight the whole entire time with a sidearm. If I throw it in a hyzer with a backhand, it will stay on that hyzer line the whole way. If I throw it on an anhyzer, it will stay on anhyzer the whole way. If I throw it flat, it stays flat the whole way. I don't know why the Z plastic does that, but the ESP plastic don't do that for me. The ESP plastic is much different from the Z plastic for me, so that's why I carry a Z plastic. The last mid-range in my bag is actually an MD3 C-line by the new Discmania plastics. And I actually been throwing this in the field, and I actually really love this disc. So for me, it flies like a buzz, except it will hyzer out much farther away from its line that I put it on than a buzz. So for me, it gives more flare, which is sometimes I wish the buzz would do, but the buzz is just so good at staying on its line and only hyzering a little bit depending on the plastic, but it doesn't really deviate from its line that much. It's just a very like, hey, if you tell me to do this, I will do this, and that's it. It doesn't have much flare. So I needed a mid-range, and I've tried multiple mid-ranges, and some of them are too overstable. Like the WAS is too overstable for me. I have to throw it in a flex line for it to dump. Whereas the MD3, this one, I just started using it today in the field, and I could throw it flat like this, and it will stay flat for a long time, like about 150 feet, 200 feet, before it actually will hyzer out, which is what I needed. And we had, I'm on field today, I had about 20 mile per hour wind, and I threw this in the wind on a hyzer, and with the wind it flips up, but it never goes to the right. it actually just flips up, stays straight, and then still hyzer through the wind. So I needed this in my bag. My buzzes don't do that in the wind. My buzzes, if I throw it out, like even this one, the most stable out of all three, even if I throw in a hyzer, it flips up, but then it will turn, or it'll just stay flat and it'll just land like this if the wind is less than 20 miles per hour. But anything more than 20 miles per hour, it sometimes will flip up and kind of go to the right a little bit before it comes back. And by that time, it's not giving me the flare that I want if I need a mid-range flare shot. But the MD3 is fitting that slot for me. So that's why I have one in the bag just for windy days. The next set are Fairway Drivers. And I consider Fairway Drivers anything speed 10 or less. And this is my stack of Fairway Drivers right here. So I'll start from this side here. Actually, I'm going to start with these two. I love T-Birds. I love T-Birds, love them, love them. They fit in my hand really well. These have beaten very nicely. When they're out of the box, they're a little stable. Similar to this FD, really. But I'll get to this FD in a minute. But once they're beat in, they fly really nice. I used to throw Stalkers, but now the Stalkers for me, number one, I don't know if my old age or whatever, but they don't feel as nice in my hand, and they don't. And I might have the way I throw has now maybe evolved because I'm older and I'm physically not as fit as when I started playing disc golf. So maybe the Stalker is not releasing out of my hand like it used to, but the T-Birds do. And so does the FD, which I'll get to in a minute. But the T-Birds actually, you know, it's the rim, it just has a little bit of a lip that is not so pronounced as a Stalker does. A Stalker's like lip right here on the inside edge is more pronounced, and it's starting to not be as comfortable in my hand compared to the T-Birds. So these beaten T-Birds actually fly like a Stalker for me. And it's basically a longer version of my Buzz. So that's why I love these T-Birds. And there are Star T-Birds. It has Avery Jenkins stamp on it. But basically, if I put it on a flat line, it will stay flat the whole entire time, but it will hyzer. Whereas the Stalkers now, when I throw it on a flat line, it'll just stay dead straight, which is fine. But if there's a slight wind that picks up, it just goes to the right, and I don't want it to go to the right all the time. Whereas the T-Bird, I can actually throw it on an anhyzer. If I want a disc to go to the right, I'll just put it on an anhyzer. And I know some people want a disc where they throw it flat and it goes to the right. That's fine. I have a disc like that, but I'm not sure where it is. Oh, it's right down here. But the Stalker doesn't fit my hand as well, and it's inconsistent in terms of that type of shot. The T-Birds have kind of replaced the Stalkers, and these are so beaten that I don't think they're going to beat in anymore. That's what I like it. Whereas a Stalker will continue to beat in, and then once it's beaten, it's too understable for me. So that's why I have two T-Birds here. We go like this. Okay. The FD, I was at a tournament over the weekend, and I saw that they had an FD, and I was just like, you know what? I've always wanted to throw an FD, and I could never find one. And I only purchased one because I didn't know if I would like it. I actually didn't think I would like it at all. Well, I go out to the field work, and this thing is amazing. This thing is, for me, it's a little bit more stable than these beaten T-Birds, and it's a little bit more stable it's definitely more stable than the Stalkers out of the box. But I actually like that. The interesting thing about this disc is that when I put it on a flat line, it stays flat, and it goes forever. Like, it keeps going. I threw this farther than some of my other higher speed distance drivers, and it was effortless. I don't know why this is a speed 7, but apparently it is. And it's actually easier to control for someone who has a weaker arm like me on a slow disc that just keeps going for someone like me. So it goes further than my T-Birds with the same effort. The same effort as I have been putting on the Stalkers and the T-Birds. So I don't know what they did with this disc. It's a speed 7. If I throw it at that speed, it glides forever. It like holds that line, it stays like that, and then it hyzers, and there's a flare at the end, but it goes far compared to the other speed 7 Fairway Drivers that I've had. So it's in my bag, and I hope I don't lose it because I only have one. The next disc is actually a Dynamic Disc Witness. I don't know. Discraft just came out with the Passion, so it's probably similar to the Passion. They don't make this disc anymore. I believe West Side Disc has an Underworld, and that's similar to this one. Dynamic Disc has discontinued this. I don't know what they're gonna replace this with, but I'm still using it because it is a speed 8 with a -3 turn, which is what I was talking about earlier. This disc, I throw it flat like this, and then it turns for me on its own. If I want a wooded shot and I need to put on a hyzer to get it to stand up and go straight, it will literally just do that in the woods. It just stands up and just goes straight and lands straight. And that's what this disc does. So when I throw it flat and I throw it at speed and I throw it flat, it turns over slowly and it comes back just a little bit, but it kind of stays on that line. It doesn't deviate much from that line once it turns over. So that's what this disc is for. I have one in the bag, but I do have 2 extra ones that I managed to find from my friend that's in the cart, I'm sorry, in here as extras. But this is kind of utility disc that I use in the woods. The next 2 discs are Undertakers. So during field work today, these things are longer T-birds, longer stalkers, and longer FDs. And throw it on a slight hyzer, it stands up and it goes for days. And it doesn't fight through the wind as well as the FD, and I think that's why the FD goes far for me in a headwind, because it's not as stable as an FD. But that's okay because I use this for the woods, or I use this if there's no wind. It's just less work for me to throw these than the FD if I want to go an extra 50 feet, because these will. So Undertakers, I love the small rim profile, and all of the Fairway Drivers are like that. Maybe not so much the Witness, but all of my Fairway Drivers are like that. That's why I like Fairway Drivers, is because the rim is much smaller and I can get them to fly far. The next 2 are Raptors. Now I used to throw Predators from Discraft, and it's an old disc, but it's a speed 9 like this, and I think it's also overstable like the Raptor. It might be more overstable, but I think the Captain's Raptor is now replacing the Predator. The Predator is discontinued by Discraft, so now they came out with the Raptor. This ESP one is now so beat in that I can actually backhand it flat, and it will hyzer out. It won't go to the right, even through a wind. This thing on a backhand, it will stay flat for a while, but it dives too quick because it's so overstable, so it doesn't go as far as my Undertakers. But so I still use it for like touchy sidearm in the woods. If I want a sidearm that goes flat, if I throw it on a hyzer, it will stand up and stay flat for a while before it hyzers out. Then this is the disc I use. For flex shots to go around the trees in the woods, I have to use the now Z version of it, because this one is so beat in that now I use this one to flex it around trees in the woods on a sidearm. The last disc is one of my favorites, because when I first started playing, I've always wanted to throw the Avenger, but it was so overstable at that time. I could never get this thing to go anywhere. And now that my arm speed has evolved and has grown, I'm able to throw the Avenger now. Not the Avenger SS, the Avenger, which I believe the Avenger and the Pulse are 2 of the discs that is similar to the Onyx. To present day Discraft version would be the Onyx. And I think maybe it's more similar to the Pulse, but the Pulse has a very weird rim, so I think that's why it's not being sold. It's discontinued. The Avenger's also discontinued as well, but I think the Onyx is slightly overstable for me, and I don't like the feel of the Onyx compared to the Avenger, so that's why I'm so happy that I can throw the Avenger now. So the reason why I have this disc is for windy shots, but I don't want to throw any of my other long distance drivers because their speed is too high, and I'm afraid of losing accuracy. So I will disc down and go to a speed 10 Avenger, because I want to be able to control it. And on this disc, if I throw it flat, it will stay flat and dive. Like, it's just wants to hit the ground as quickly as possible for me. And then if there's a headwind, if I throw it flat, it will slightly go to the right, but it will fight back and come back. So it's like it's doing its own flex through the wind. And I threw this in a 20-mile-per-hour wind during practice today, and that's what it did, and that's all I wanted out of a disc like this. So that's what I got there. And it goes farther than my Raptor, that's why I have it. The Raptor is too overstable for me. This is more of a utilities disc in the woods with a sidearm. And I can sidearm with this too. But this one, interestingly, with the sidearm, if I sidearm on a hyzer, it will stand up like this for a little bit, and then it will hyzer and dump. So, let's see. So those are my fairways. Let me go ahead and put these back in here because I'm not going to have room on my lap for the rest of the discs in this bag. The rest are distance drivers. I've got 5 distance drivers here. That's a lot of fairways. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 fairway drivers apparently. Okay, so the rest are 5 distance drivers. The first 2 are Scorches. So this used to be the Surge SS for me. All my Surge SS are either severely damaged, severely worn out, or sold. So when they came out with this Scorch last year, I was like, yes, thank you. This windy day conditions, I try not to throw these. I disc down to the Avenger because on a hyzer it flips over and it just kind of like keeps going to the right. So I suppose if I had a right hand basket hole, then I would probably use this, but on a calm, semi-calm condition, I can throw this flat and it will go to the left and flex back and hyzer. So it goes far, like it goes really far for me with this disc with very little effort. I'm probably thinking 300 plus feet with this disc. I should probably figure out how far these go, but I know I can reach 300-foot holes with this. So that's that one. Let's see here. The next one is a Wraith, and I've been throwing Wraiths for a while. Some of my Wraiths have been so worn down that I don't have them anymore. But this is a Star Wraith, and I use this because it's a little bit more stable than the Scorch, and sometimes, like really strong headwinds, I do need this disc. So with a strong headwind, when I'm talking about strong headwind, I'm talking 25 miles per hour or more. Then I throw this flat, it goes to the right, and it flexes for me through the wind. I also use this as sidearm in some of the wooded holes if I need to get out of trouble and I know my Raptor can't reach that hole. Then I'll either use the Avenger or I'll use the Wraith if I know that the flex shot requires a disc to come out long range compared to the Avenger. The last 2 are Destroyers. These I don't use often, only if it's an wide open hole, then I'll use it. This is a Pro D Factory 2. Factory 2nd. I actually didn't know much about the Factory 2nd. My friend told me about it. Because I used to throw a lot of Pro plastic Destroyers because for a 12-speed, I like to hyzer flip them up and then go straight, but then they do dump at the end because they're speed 12. So for my arm, that's perfect for some of my discs. Except they're so beaten now that they don't fly like that anymore. They are so understable, they just go to the right. And the Star plastic is way too overstable for me. So the Pro plastic is in between, and that's what this is. So this is the new Pro one that I just put in the bag this year. And this one I'm going to work it in so that I can throw it on a hyzer flip. But right now, throwing it flat, it stays flat, it goes far. If I throw it kind of an anhyzer a little bit, it slowly goes like this and then comes back for me. So that's what this does now. Whereas the Star one, if I throw it on an anhyzer, if I want to try to do a flex shot, it goes like really quick compared to this one where it's much slower because it's a less stable plastic. So that's what I use this for. So sometimes long, so my Raptors I use if I'm scrambling in the woods. Or if there's a hole that is about 220 feet, 250 feet, then I'll use the Raptor to flex it around, a sidearm flex. The Destroyer is if it's like a 300-foot hole, and I know I can't reach 300 feet with a sidearm. But if I want to try and hyzer something because I need to get around a whole bunch of bushes and trees just to get out of a gap, then I'll use the Destroyer because I know that I can put a lot of torque and flex on it and it will get out of the gap because that's more accurate for me in that instance versus my backhand. So I've used this disc for that before. I've used it to spike hyzer before, and you know, put little power in it, and because I put little power on a speed 12, it actually will hyzer and dive much quicker than some of these other discs that's in my bag. So that's pretty much my bag that I carry doing a round. If there's a hole, I'm sorry, if there's a course with a ton of water, then I will carry extras that are either in the toolbox or in my cart. So speaking of the toolbox, I'll go ahead and show you what the toolbox is here. The toolbox has extra Tour Series AVRs. So what happens is when I get to the course and I'm warming up and I just want to putt, I just grab these and putt until I'm comfortable. Then I put it back in the toolbox so that I don't have to carry it around in my golf bag. And I have another one on this side as well. So there's 3 Tour Series AVRs in this toolbox, plus the one that's in here, so it's 4. But I don't use that one to practice putting before a round. I use these 3, just so that they all evenly wear, so that I'm not using the same putters twice. The toolbox, I also sometimes stick 1 or 2 discs that I'm trying or somebody suggests that I try. So I don't put it in my actual main bag, I just put it in my toolbox. And that's what these are. The 2 that someone's asked me to try is the Archer and the Paradox. And this is the mid-range. If you notice in my mid-range section here, I don't have a disc where I throw it flat and goes to the right. Like out of the box. I had to beat in my buzz in order for it to do that. Well, someone said try these. These out of the box are supposed to do that. Throw it flat and then it's supposed to slowly go to the right on a backhand. So I'm trying these out and they're in the toolbox so that the next time I go out in field work, I'm going to try that. Today it was really hard to do that because it's really windy, and plus it's meant for wooded shots. And so I want to wait till it's like calm and I'll try that before I bring it into the woods. Inside the box, it's all doubles of everything that's in this bag. There's nothing new in here. every disc in here I already know how to use. Except there's one more disc that I'm trying, which is Meteor. Because again, someone told me hey, you should try Meteor. So that's what's in here as well. But yeah. Oh, so last year I started trying Lunas to throw off the box, but the ones I was throwing was kind of unstable, and it felt like the Fierce to me, so I was like, I don't really know the difference. And plus, on top of that, it also felt like some of my challengers. So someone said try a Big Z Luna, and you can see the Big Z logo on here. So I have this disc in here, and I'm going to try that the next time I go on the field. So what is that? 4 different discs to try. I have thrown the Meteor in the past, but it's Z plastic, so maybe the ESP plastic will be different. I don't really care for how it feels in the past, so I'll try it again. But the Z Luna is for me to try, and then the rest is, this is an extra Fierce, this blue one. These are extra zones, because once this pink one gets worn down, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it out with a new zone. And then this is an ESP plastic that's also new. I think it's only been thrown a few times. And here's another Z zone, so that's going to replace that pink one as well, or the green one, whichever one that's going to wear out. I also have an extra Discraft Challenger. This one I believe is a Z Flex Challenger maybe. I don't really know. I don't know why they don't label these, but I know it's a Challenger. I just know it's a Challenger because of the way it's the rim is. And this is going to, this is a little bit more, slightly more stable than this black one. So if I know that it's slightly more windy that day, then I'll just switch the black one out for this orange one. And then we have extra buzzes in here. There's 4 in here. It's 2Z, an ESP, and an old Z plastic that I just have with me all the time because this is my first buzz ever. And I love penguins, so it happens to have a penguin, and I actually bought it because it had a penguin. I didn't know it was a buzz, and it was a great mid-range. I just bought it because I'm like, oh, it's cool, it's a penguin. It happens to be a buzz. I threw it, and I got my first ace with it, and I was like, okay, I'm not taking this out ever again. So, sorry, second ace. I don't know what the first ace was. I think the first ace was with my stalker. But anyways, so I got this, and I was like, all right, this is going in the bag. And I love the buzz ever since. And then 2 extra Witness. Remember I told you, yeah, my friend gave these to me because he doesn't like them. And I said, please, I'll take them because So next is the Jawbreaker Scorch. This one I use on wet conditions or really rainy days. Then I'll use this because it's got more grip than the ESP or the Z plastic. So that's why this is in the toolbox. It's just there, so if it happens to be raining that weekend, I'll use the Jawbreaker one. And then these two are extra Wraiths. This Halo one's really, really overstable, and it's actually kind of worn down a little bit because I've been using it a lot, and it's becoming less overstable, so it's more stable now. But I love the grip of it, so I use it if it's cold outside, or if it's a little damp in the morning, then I'll use this plastic versus the Star plastic, because the Halo plastic, for some reason, it just grips a little bit better. And then just an extra destroyer in case I lose the other pink one in there. The same weight, just different color. And those are the extras in that bag. And then as far as the cart goes, I only use this cart when I'm doing a very, very long 2-round tournament day or a long stretch of three-day tournaments. Then I'll use the cart. And it has extra discs in here, so it has an extra Challenger in here. It has an extra MD3. It has an extra Z Scorch. And again, these are discs that are similar to the other bag. It's not really nothing new. These are the 2 Pro Destroyers that I have to take out because this one is so beat up, as you can see here. Yeah, that's dead. And there's the other side of it. I'm not sure if the camera's going to catch it. Yep. So you can see this thing is not going to help. It's really hard to hold this, and I know, and then here's the other side of the rim here. And here's the other side of the rim. So yeah, so it's so that one's it's leaving the cart. This is the last Pro Destroyer that I have, and I found out that they have stopped making Pro Destroyers, or they're discontinuing it. And this is the last one that says Pro Destroyer on it. So I'm babying this one, and I'm kind of like just milking it and keeping it. So if I really, really want a lot of distance on a hole, then I'll pull this out. But it's just sitting in my cart because I'm going to use the factory ones, the second factory ones. And then here is a die destroyer that I have here. As you can tell, I love destroyers. It's the only distance driver I really, destroyers and Wraiths are the only 2 I really care about. And this one is very overstable, and I use this for sidearm. So this is an extra one in here, and then another extra Halo Wraith. So I just carry these extra discs if the course has a lot of creeks or water, or out of bounds, or ways where the discs are going to land somewhere that it's not retrievable. Then I'll use this cart, or if the course, obviously if the course is cart friendly. But that's the only time I use the cart. Otherwise, I mainly use a bag and a stool. And that's pretty much my in the bag. Sorry it's so long, but just trying to go through my thought process of why I have these discs in my bag and why I use these discs. All right, I hope that helps. If you have any questions or concern, if you have any comments, any critiques that you want to put in the comment section, let me know. Or just put it there and I'll go ahead and take a look at them. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.